Good evening, everyone. My name is Woody Bradford. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Schools. And one of the great parts of my job is I get to work with the Aldergrove family of schools. Tonight, we're excited to be here together. I'm joined with the principal of ACSS, Mike Palachuk, the vice principals of ACSS, Greg Kilbert and Carla Clapton, also the principal of Betty Gilbert Middle School, Jonathan Harris, and the vice principal of Betty Gilbert Middle School, Claire Burns. And we're thrilled to be here tonight to share with you the work that we've been doing that is going to really shape the direction over the next few years in terms of what we're doing at the secondary school and the middle school. We're here to share with you the implementation plan for the 2021-2022 school year, really with a focus on enhancing opportunities for our students in the Aldergrove region to ensure that we're providing the best possible experience for them as they go K through 12 through our Aldergrove schools. We would like to start by acknowledging the work we have done to support the Aldergrove schools and inspiring all learners to reach their full potential has taken place on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsqui, Kwantlen, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. This exciting journey that we've been on together really focuses on a K-12 initiative and really looking at Short Reed and Parkside, Betty Gilbert, and ACSS. We were really thinking about the things that we could do collectively as a team to support the work that goes on in these schools. We have outstanding educators in each of these buildings working every day to ensure that our students have excellent opportunities. And we feel this plan is just going to enrich those experiences for our students as we move forth together. This plan couldn't have happened though without a huge amount of support. And we want to go back to the 2019 school year where we went through the consultation with Aldergrove and Poppy. And I can't thank enough the Aldergrove community for their support as we went through that consultation, and we listened very carefully to what the Aldergrove community was telling us and what we needed to do going forth. They gave us some great feedback in terms of what they would like to see in the schools, and this plan is going to showcase the work we've done, listening to that consultation and going through this process, and hopefully implementing some things that are going to be great as we move into the future. Along with the Aldergrove community, I just want to put a shout out to Jeremy Linda, the former principal of ACSS, who supported us on this journey through the consultation, left a great legacy as the principal of that building that's been taken on by Mr. Palachuk. And together they made that transition happen seamlessly, and the work is continuing to be excellent in the Aldergrove region. Just also want to thank our finance and facilities department, our purchasing department, our communications department. They've worked closely with us to ensure that they're doing the work behind the scenes to make sure this plan can be implemented successfully. What guided and directed the work that we did to actually implement this plan? Well, back in December 2019, on December 10th, we were given a real important responsibility as a team. And our board passed a motion that district staff utilize the feedback gathered during the consultation to work with the Aldergrove Transition Committee to develop options for educational enhancements to programming and scheduling between Betty Gilbert Middle School and ACSS, and then come back to the board and report on future next steps. We've been working diligently since 2019 to put some things together, really with a focus on scheduling and programming, and how can we take those two structures and make sure that we're really enhancing the educational opportunities for students. We really wanted to drill the programming and scheduling down to a place where we knew we were going to ensure that students were going to be successful K through 12, but specifically with this plan, 6 to 12 in terms of what we were trying to achieve. And through the conversations we had, reflecting on the consultation in terms of the feedback we had, we're going to be able to share that plan with you tonight. From the consultation, there were many themes that ran through, but there were really three themes that really emerged. Really having the opportunity to really enhance those educational opportunities with a focus on equity. We know that Aldergrove is a very proud community, and they should be very proud of their community. It's an excellent place for kids to grow and learn, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to provide equitable opportunities for them as they make their way through K through 12 through the school system in Aldergrove. We also heard that we wanted this plan to really strengthen the community. We wanted to have a focus on culture and making sure that we're really celebrating the culture in Aldergrove, really making sure that we are focused through the plan to make sure that at the end, this was going to be a celebration. And we truly believe this is a celebration. And then finally, we had the feedback on just a focus around health and well-being of students as they go through the system. What experiences could we create for them that were really going to make that strong connection to a healthy lifestyle? and provide educational opportunities that really enhance those experience for their students as they go through. We know again that Aldergrove has a history of excellence in athletics. And we know that Aldergrove is also a very inclusive community, making sure that we wanted to balance competition and participation when we think about a healthy lifestyle. So making sure that we wrap those through themes up in terms of the feedback we got from the consultation to build this plan. And we're hoping tonight, as we share this plan with you, you share the excitement that we have as we move forward collectively together to implement this plan for the next school year. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to the Vice Principal of ACSS, Greg Kilbert. He's going to share with you just some of the work we've been doing in terms of just past information, background information, so you have an idea of where we started from, and then where we are going as we move forward collectively together.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Assistant Superintendent Bradford. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Greg Kilbert, and I'm one of the Vice Principals at Aldergrove Secondary. A lot of the things I'm going to speak to tonight, though, actually come from my past experience. Before January of this year, I was a teacher in grade 6, grade 7, and grade 8 at Betty Gilbert for the last 7.5 years. And again, a lot of what I have to say tonight is some of my reflections on my time there and from those experiences that I had. Traditionally, the setup between the two schools, Betty Gilbert teachers have taught most of the core subjects: math, science, language arts, socials, French, PE. And the explorations like woodwork and cooking and art and things like that have all been hosted at ACSS and taught by Aldergrove secondary teachers. The new arrangement kind of flips that on its head a little bit. Middle school teachers still teach those core subjects, but they also get to teach the exploration subjects to their grade 6 and 7 students, and really helps ease that transition into middle school, which has always been challenging for our 5s coming into 6. Grade 8s still will be offered explorations classes at Aldergrove Secondary. In fact, those opportunities, which will be spoken to by Mr. Harris and Mr. Palachuk a little later in the presentation, those are actually enhanced as a result of this process. The grade 6, 7s will also continue to come to Aldergrove Secondary, but they will be coming over for only phys ed and physical and health education, which will, as I'm going to talk about in a second, be a huge benefit for them. So this setup allows for middle school students in grade 6 and 7 to experience explorations in a much more comfortable setting. You don't have grade 6s coming to the high school and going through a whole host of transitions as they move from one exploration to the next every few weeks. Transitions will happen in a more familiar environment for those students, which is especially important for our students who are vulnerable and those with needs where transitions are a challenging piece for them. And the connections between the students and the teachers at ACSS and BGMS will also be enhanced as part of this process. The biggest benefits for this model in the Aldergrove region is when students come to ACSS as grade 6 and grade 7 students, they get a single consistent teacher at ACSS that they'll be able to keep and work with for 2 years as their physical and health education teacher. This is a massive change from the past where students would see upwards of 9 or 10 different adults for 6 weeks, every other day, and then they wouldn't see them again potentially unless they take their elective course in high school. So this allows for one adult, one connection, which is just a more meaningful and long-lasting connection for the students. And it allows the teachers to get to know the students a lot better too, know their strengths, know their areas for growth. More class switches will happen. Those explorations are still going to rotate, but they'll happen at Betty Gilbert, which is a building students will be much more familiar with, and there will be much more familiar adults in that building. The first exploration rotation is actually intentionally designed for them to be with their Betty Gilbert homeroom teacher, so that that's one less adult that they're trying to get to know and form a relationship with as they begin their school year. There's also more opportunities outside of those explorations for more natural connections to be made, be that at assemblies, through extracurriculars, recess, lunch, etc., where they'll still see those teachers that they wouldn't see if they were still doing explorations at the high school during those times. Communicating student needs also becomes just a much more streamlined process. It's challenging for teachers who work at Betty Gilbert and support students there to connect with teachers at Aldergrove Secondary, especially when they change every 6 weeks or so. So this allows for, again, those switches to happen more in the Betty Gilbert building, where adults are closer together in proximity and able to work together much more seamlessly. It also helps with the push-in support from support staff in both schools, as they will be able to push into explorations classes, which is without taking away from academic push-in support, which has always been a challenge and a fine balance to strike for Betty Gilbert in particular. And with that, I'm going to pass things back over to Assistant Superintendent Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. So in terms of this plan, and as Mr. Gilbert touched on, just how we were going to implement this for success. And we really, again, started with that mindset of how do we make sure this plan is good for all our students, and really making those decisions around an inclusive model, really through that sense of connection that our students have with adults, and making sure that we do our very best to set them up for success. So the plan was built around 3 pillars, and the decision making was directed towards these 3 pillars. Excellence in education, really finding our students' passions and building their capacity in those areas. Inspiring healthy living, finding their strengths, leveraging our successes collectively together as a group. And then, as we know in Aldergrove, celebrating community, developing leaders and leadership opportunities for students and staff, and those strengthening the relationships we have between students and staff and our community. Really building that sense of celebration as we focus in on community. So what I'm going to ask is Mr. Harris to go through the excellence in education, and he's going to focus on the programming and scheduling that has been built to ensure that excellence is at the forefront of the decisions we've made. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Harris.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful sunny night. And thank you, Mr. Bradford. My name is Jonathan Harris. I am the proud principal of Betty Gilbert Middle School, and excited to tell you about the opportunities that we have going forward at the school starting next year. So some of the things that we've looked at, some of the considerations for programming. So our explorations, as you've heard, for grades 6 and 7 will be happening at Betty Gilbert Middle School next year for the first time, rather than at ACSS. This is a great opportunity for us to be able to build school culture and develop a greater sense of belonging. And it will also create a positive vibe in and around the hallways, with students talking about the new explorations that they get to dive into and new areas that students get to explore. So students get a taste of several different expos to help them discover kind of what they're most passionate about and what areas they would like to explore deeper in the future, which could lead to them diving into them further, especially at ACSS in their high school years. Along with offering students academics, we have more hands-on opportunities that will allow for a natural outflow and also lead to new clubs and some fun opportunities for our students as well. And we're really looking forward to adding those clubs as a result of these expos. So students will have the chance to connect in the building and build those relationships with many different caring adults at BGMS, since all the grade 6 teachers will now get the chance to teach every grade 6 student through these expos. And the same thing will happen with our grade 7 teachers teaching all of the grade 7 students. The transitions for grade 6 and 7 students will be much easier within a building that they are familiar with, as Mr. Kilbert said, and will feel more comfortable, and it will help to decrease student anxiety as a result. The good news is also that we have been able to make these changes and while protecting the programming that's happening at ACSS as well. So here are some examples of some of the things that we will be offering our students next year. Computer skills, acoustic guitar class, I believe at the grade 7 level, a visual arts class, drama, digital storytelling, which could involve photography and videography, using green screens, coding and robotics, and a leadership class for both grade 6 and grade 7. And we recognize the fact that many of our grade 5s come to us from their elementary feeder schools and have opportunities to lead in a capacity that they are excited about. And then what we've found is that they come into grade 6 and then we didn't have a leadership opportunities that were open to everyone until our grade 8 web program. And so what we wanted to do is put leadership at the forefront, find ways to release and to feed into our students in the area of leadership, so that by the time that they get into grade 8 and they are applying for a grade 8 leadership program, then that they know what they're diving into, they're excited about it, and we're going to be able to build future leaders in Aldergrove. These are an example. This is actually the triple wide portable that has been delivered to our site currently. It is sitting on our grass back area, and it will be started to work on in the coming weeks. So this is a triple wide portable, which will become a new space, and it'll become a new studio space that will be for our exploration, specifically around the arts and visual arts, but also it will be a breakout space for other classrooms and a collaboration space. So we're very excited to see how this comes along. It's going to be 3 portables all amalgamated into one. We also have had 2 new portables that have been added to our site this year, and that's freed up some other spaces for us as a result too. We are introducing a new computer lab, some new breakout spaces just in the hallways of BGMS as well, where students can collaborate and have more specific spaces for their needs, as well as our multi-purpose room, which was a classroom, will now be used for our breakfast program, explorations, and a place to support students working with our Aboriginal support worker and our youth worker. So this is an exciting picture here. This is a draft, but this is the Betty Gilbert Middle School gym and what it may possibly look like come the fall. It's going to be modernized and transformed with the help of our local artist, Dean Laze. And these are drafts and mock-ups, so this isn't exactly how it's going to look, but we've been working alongside him and walking through this with Dean, and we'll continue to have this evolve over the coming weeks, so that as the students enter the gym in the fall, if we're able to complete this project for the fall, then it's going to be something that's really exciting as they enter the gym. We're hopeful that it will be completed, and we're hoping that the new branding will also continue to reinforce and build a strong sense of school spirit, as well as connection and belonging for our students. And Betty Gilbert Middle School has collaborated together with ACSS to start sharing their gymnasium space, which is also exciting for us, between the 2 schools, which will now be branded as a shared space with an artistic Raptors Totems theme. And use of the gymnasium will also allow us at Betty Gilbert to run athletics games in a full-size gym and to run some of the arts performances and programming that we've been wanting to run as well. Something else that's exciting and we've been discussing, and that is a natural transition for us, is we will continue to have our explorations offered for our grade 8s. We'll continue at ACSS, as it is a natural transition for our grade 8s to build strong relationship with the ACSS teachers come their grade 9 year. So having explorations 8 at ACSS also eases students into this transition to ACSS and gets them used to the high school building. We discussed also with ACSS admin team during this process just about adding more exploration opportunities for our grade 8s, so that they had some form of choice a little bit rather than just being put into specific expos. So they heard us on this, and they have added more explorations for us as of next year, which we're very thankful for. And our students will get more opportunities to choose from a list of expos. So I think some of the ones that they've added, media literacy and photography, have been added in the mix as well, which we're excited about. And so thank you to the admin team at ACSS for that. I also, just in closing, as I get Mr. Palachuk to come up, I just want to say thank you also to our Assistant Superintendent, Woody Bradford, for his commitment to this project and the endless support from the district to be able to expand and deliver these exciting quality programs and programming in the Aldergrove region, because they have worked tirelessly in order to provide these opportunities. So thank you very much, Assistant Superintendent Bradford and Mr. Palachuk.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for the introduction. Yes, my name is Mike Palachuk, and I have been the principal at ACSS since January the 5th. I feel very fortunate to be in this position, and I certainly would like to applaud the previous administration at ACSS, Jeremy Linden, Jason Mallow, the team there who knew that change was coming after the consultation process. Our present administration, myself and Ms. Clapton and Mr. Kilbert, working along with Mr. Harrison and Ms. Burns, have the challenge of fine-tuning the change. And I have to tell you that from the aspect of the grade 6, 7 students now coming over to ACSS with a mindset of physical literacy, the students will be coming over thinking that they will be participating in physical education, I think is what they're going to think at the most simple level. But really, it's much, much more complex than that. You could consider each class in grade 6 and grade 7 coming over to ACSS as receiving, on the receiving end at ACSS, a coach, a teacher, a PE teacher, or another teacher in the school who has an interest in physical literacy, which is not just physical education, it's also healthy living, wellness, you know, the power of sport, the power of outdoor learning. So our challenge now is to, for the first time next year, when the grade 6 and 7 students come over, they will receive targeted teaching and coaching and learning using all of the absolutely fabulous outdoor learning activities around our 2 campuses. It's mind-blowing the outdoor learning spaces that are available, and we are certainly planning to use them to the best of our ability, even when it rains. Right now, we have a plan to work with Mr. Harris and Ms. Burns to keep the grade 6 and 7 classes as a group and then transfer from one teacher to the other. I sort of see that as a team. So they will come over and they will have a teacher at ACSS, and they will be on, you know, we're even going to have some name the team challenges, right? And then for the entire year, 2 or 3 times a week, every single grade 6 and 7 student will be able to participate in outdoor and indoor physical literacy learning at ACSS. The relationship building that will happen through that process is amazing, and we really think that the power of team will be a highlight. The power of learning outside will be a highlight. The power of learning through play will be a huge advantage, because we know that those are the ways that kids can learn, and they don't necessarily need an adult to show them in those situations. A lot can be learned through play. So our challenge as educators and as adults in the school is to create an environment that's inviting. So you can see the images of, these are not mock-ups. They at one time were mock-ups, like Mr. Harris was showing you for the Betty Gilbert gym. These were ideas that have now turned into reality. In the top left, you can see an image of a bench press, a person doing bench press. That's in our fitness and conditioning area at ACSS. And in the bottom right is also an image in our fitness and conditioning area. The other 4 images are the beginning of the changes. That's our old gymnastics gym, which is a wonderful space, but each of the 4 walls have been redesigned with these wonderful images. And I can tell you, when the students walk into the gymnastics gym now, they are amazed. They just instantly have smiles on their faces, and we know it's just cosmetic, but that it's imagery, but it really sets the tone for an environment that students are excited about. So we in turn are extremely excited about that as well. If you go for a walk around the Betty Gilbert campus, you will see that the FitCore community outdoor fitness area will be starting to take form. It's it's something we're very excited about. It's basically an outdoor learning space that's available to the community after hours as well. So if we could ask for your help in taking care of it, because we certainly want the students to be able to use it at unstructured class time, but also in structured class times. And we are really, really excited about having our classes take on some sort of challenges, personal challenges with the learning that happens when you are at play in some space like Fit Core. So we are really extremely excited about all of the outdoor learning spaces around ACSS and Betty Gilbert, and we are extremely excited that we now have structures in place for our grade 6 and 7 students, all of our grade 6 and 7 students, to have guidance and opportunities using these outdoor spaces that we hope will inspire them to excel in maybe sport, maybe athletics, but also in wellness, healthy living, healthy nutrition, being outside in healthy ways, and living healthy lifestyles. So that's our excitement in those areas. I don't know how much more to say other than I think the power of being outside and the power of play is so huge, and we have been able to put the structures into our schools that allow that at a secondary school, which I think is just super, super, super. So thank you. I would like to ask Ms. Clapton to come up now.
Thank you, Mr. Palachuk. Good evening. My name is Carla Clapton, and I am one of the very proud vice principals of Aldergrove Secondary, and I'm finishing up my second year as a vice principal in Aldergrove, and I absolutely love this community. I wanted just to talk about, I have the great fortune to be part of the scheduling and timetabling process for the ACSS community, and also for our BGMS students. This process includes coordinating the grade 8 expos as well as our new physical health education program of our grade 6s and 7s. So our grade 6 and 7 Betty Gilbert Raptors will have the incredible opportunity to have specialized PHE ACSS teachers who will take on the role of, as Mr. Palachuk had mentioned, physical literacy mentors / coaches. We know that the recreational facilities within our community are some of the best in the Langley School District. And they will be more accessible to all of our students from both sites on a daily basis. As our grade 6s and 7s experience year-long physical and health-related opportunities, we hope that this inspires them to participate in our athletics programs. Many of our physical literacy mentors are also our coaches, and this built-in connection will only strengthen the relationship between Aldergrove and Betty Gilbert. And our goal is to inspire our BGMS students to feel connected through physical activity and athletics, and to feel that they belong to our community of 2 schools together. So thank you for letting me speak this evening. It was an honor, and I would like to ask the fabulous Miss Claire Burns, the Vice Principal of Betty Gilbert.
Thank you, Carla. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening at a time when the sun is shining and it's gorgeous outside. You being here this evening chatting with us helps all of us to recognize the pride that you take in your community and the value you place on your children's education. We are thrilled to be presenting this plan to you tonight because as Mr. Bradford mentioned, it's been a few years in the making as we've listened to the voices coming, and we've really thought carefully through programming and scheduling and facilities. What can we do to give the best possible opportunity to our students in Aldergrove? So thinking about what you've heard this evening, we're talking about purpose and place. We're talking about spaces where kids can come alive with their creativity, their innovation. They are able to use the outdoor physical spaces as well as the indoor spaces, our new studio coming to BGMS as well as our computer lab. We know that when we create facilities that are really at the new end of technology, and they look great. They show the children that we take pride in their education, and that follows through for children themselves. Something that's really important as we came to scheduling all of this was thinking about how to ensure that the instructional minutes our kids have at school are really, really well thought out. So a change that we've made is to ensure that when our BGMS students are on site at the middle school, they are able to transition from their classroom into their exploration space in a matter of minutes. So right away, they're moving quickly from one to the next, and they're able to get right down to business, to doing all of those hands-on activities that they deserve time to do. Yes, they still will be transitioning over to ACSS, but because they're doing that for their physical and health education, the walk over there is actually embedded within that time as part of their healthy living. We are really excited as well that these changes bring forward a focus on leadership. Leadership for our students as they come up from grade 5, being leaders in their elementary school buildings, and leadership within the school itself as it transforms from becoming a younger student who tries to lead within the school, to having our older students lead, to then really excitingly, as we build community with ACSS, some of those high school students working alongside our middle school students to really model the next level of leadership. Something else that is really important to us, and it is a goal for both of our school communities, and as we come together, we always want to focus on connection and developing a sense of belonging for our students. And this plan really does that, because this plan shows kids that when they come to school, whichever of the schools it is, they have different staff members who are familiar to them, who they see on a regular basis, who they develop that stronger connection with. And I feel like knowing for the children that they will be seeing those same faces every day for 2 years is absolutely critical to their success. There's a lot of research that says that the more people a child has in their school building that they feel connected to, the more adults they can name as a point of contact, their school success and their joy and happiness at school rises. So part of this plan is ensuring that our students are with their physical health and education teacher for at least 2 years. They might well see them again and work with them again in grade 8 and moving on into the high school. It also ensures that our grade 6 and 7 teachers who have the opportunity to teach to their passion area as an exploration at BGMS will be able to teach all of the students in their grade level, starting with their homeroom students first. These are the same faces kids are going to see all the time at school. It makes that point of contact, that feeling of connection, really important for them, and there every day. I think as we progress through middle school as well, we see our grade 6s coming in, and this is the perfect point for them to do a little bit of exploring at the middle school, a little bit of exploring over at ACSS, and feeling scaffolded in that, feeling safe. This is a good place for them. And as they get older and go through and get into grade 8, we've scaffolded that independence and that growth for them so that by the time they're in grade 8, their confidence and their connections at the high school have increased so that they are ready for that next step of independence and connection at the high school, and also, we hope long-term, to come back and be part of the middle school community and continuing that loop of leadership. So really what we've shared with you tonight is very much a vision for what is best for kids. It's what they deserve. It's time for them to have the opportunities, to have the modern facilities, and particularly to have connection and a sense of belonging, and to really take this step together with all of us on a very exciting journey, which puts what's best for Aldergrove kids right at the front and center. So thank you for joining all of us this evening. I'm going to pass it back now to Assistant Superintendent Mr. Bradford, and he will close out our session this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns, and thank you to the whole team for an outstanding presentation. As you can hear, there's a lot of excitement in this room in terms of the work that's going on collectively together and what we're looking forward to as we make our way into next September. So just want to shed some light in terms of the plan and building the plan. Obviously, this plan does not happen without some financial support. And I really want to thank our trustees and our board for their support around this plan. It was only Tuesday night that we had our public board meeting, and our board approved the internally restricted funds we have, $582,000, to go towards this plan. Along with the support of district surplus and federal funds, we've been able to build this plan in a way that we think is going to have the greatest impact on kids. And roughly $1.5 million is going into the Aldergrove schools to make this plan happen. And we're so thankful for the board's support. And we're thankful for our superintendent, Gord Stewart, for his support in this plan. Brian Isley, our secretary treasurer, and his support with this plan as well. Both of them have been instrumental in working with our board and working with this team to ensure this plan was going to happen. In terms of future projects that we're looking at and continuing to make sure that we focus on the journey rather than the destination, we want to make sure that we continue to modernize the buildings. So Betty Gilbert looking at the paint in the building and making sure we modernize it, signage around the building, ensuring that people know that this is the middle school that we're proud of in Aldergrove. We're working with the township on a partnership on an outdoor area focusing on athletics like volleyball and basketball. For ACSS, looking at internally the infrastructure we have for technology and getting the devices in hands of students that are going to be the latest and greatest, so they have the technology used within their classrooms. Providing spaces and conditions within the classroom that focus on technology so our teachers and our support staff have the tools they need to do the work as they support our students. Again, updating the building with the painting of the building and looking at the small gym and the soundboards that are in the small gym, updating those spaces. And finally, the replacement of the bleachers in the large gym. So those are some of the ideas that we begin to brainstorm together as a team that might be in the future in terms of what we can do. And again, as we go through this plan next year, I'm sure there's going to be many things that come our way in terms of the ways that we can continue to enrich this plan. And we know that the voices of the Aldergrove community are going to be important in that. And we'll rely on our PACs in both our schools, Betty Gilbert and ACSS, to give us feedback and provide us with opportunities or next steps for us as we work together collectively as a community to build things for our students. You would have received yesterday through School Messenger a couple of really important documents, and thank you to Joe Abishar, our communications manager, for putting together a brochure that really outlines this presentation that we've done for you, and also a frequently asked questions sheet so that if there are questions on your mind, maybe some of the questions you're thinking about can be answered with a communication plan that we've sent out. And if by chance you can't, you have some questions or some feedback or thoughts for us, I would encourage you to email the principal of Betty Gilbert Middle School, Jonathan Harris, or the principal of ACSS, Mr. Mike Palachuk. They will receive the feedback from the individual schools. If there's something you'd like the district to know, then you can email us at feedback@sd35.bc.ca. And with that, I just want to thank everyone who is tuned in tonight. This is a special evening for us, and we want to be able to celebrate it. I also want to acknowledge the work of Miss Gracie and Miss Thagason in Parkside for their work in supporting us, Mr. Reger and Mr. Tuzo at Shortreed for their support as well. And I just want to thank all the educators in Aldergrove. We have fantastic people working with our kids every day in Aldergrove, and they've walked along this journey with us. They've provided feedback with us, and there is a buzz and an excitement in both buildings. And we want our kids to be part of that. We want our community to be part of that. So we're so thankful for you to be here tonight. Just this past week, we had our grade 5 showing up at Betty Gilbert, and the energy and enthusiasm of our grade 5s coming up into grade 6, it's motivating and inspiring. So we're looking forward to September. We're looking forward to continue to work alongside our partners in Aldergrove to ensure that we do the very best for our kids. Thank you for joining us this evening, and look forward to seeing everyone out in Aldergrove and the great things we're going to do together. Thank you.